Uh-oh, here comes the magic school bus. That means that Ms. Frizzle is about to take us on another weird trip. You have no idea what she makes us go through, but you're about to find out. Thanks to Joanna Cole, who wrote about us in her book, The Magic School Bus Lost in the Solar System, and Bruce Deacon, who drew the pictures. If you want to come along, climb on board and bring your book. Not all of the words in the book are on this tape, but you can still follow along. Just turn the page when you hear this sound. It was trip day again in Ms. Frizzle's class. Everyone was excited. We were going to the planetarium to see a sky show about the solar system.
What is the solar system? A report by John. The solar system is the sun and all the bodies that orbit around it. The 9 planets, their moons, the asteroids, which are chunks of rock, and comets, which are balls of ice and dust.
Ms. Frizzle pointed to the chart.
Class, an orbit is the path of a planet or other object around the sun.
I knew that. I get all A's in school. I have 5 computers. My class went to the planetarium last year.
What a show-off.
Arnold's cousin Janet was visiting our class for the day.
I know all of you will be nice to our guest,
said the Frizz.
Thanks for inviting your cousin, Arnold.
She's actually nice when you get to know her. My school is taller than your school.
Who wants a tall school?
Our swings are better than your swings.
We tried to be nice to Janet. We really did. As we got on the school bus, we told her that Ms. Frizzle is the weirdest teacher in the school. But Janet wasn't interested.
My teacher is weirder than your teacher.
She wanted to tell us about herself. As usual, it took quite a while to get the old bus started. But finally, we were on our way.
This bus is a wreck.
At least it started this time.
We have new school buses at our school.
As we were driving, Ms. Frizzle told us about how the Earth spins like a top as it moves in its orbit. It was just a short drive to the planetarium, but Ms. Frizzle talked fast.
When the Earth spins, we say it rotates. The Earth makes one complete rotation, turn, every 24 hours.
What Makes Night and Day by Phoebe. The spinning of the Earth makes night and day. When one side of the Earth faces the sun, it is daytime on that side. When that side turns away from the sun, it is night.
When we got to the planetarium, it was closed for repairs.
Class, this means we'll have to return to school,
said the Frizz. We were so disappointed.
Back to school?
I'm so depressed.
My planetarium is always open.
On the way back, as we were waiting at a red light, something amazing happened. The bus started tilting back and we heard the roar of rockets.
Oh dear,
said Miss Frizzle.
We seem to be blasting off.
Here we go again. Not another crazy trip.
Children, we are going through the atmosphere, the layers of air around the Earth.
I guess we'll be seeing the solar system after all.
My bus has bigger rockets than your bus.
Yeah, right, Janet.
Why are spaceships launched with rockets? By Wanda. Spaceships cannot just fly into outer space. They need rockets to break free from the powerful grip of Earth's gravity.
What is gravity? By Michael. Gravity is the force that pulls objects toward the center of the Earth. Other planets have gravity too. Larger planets usually have more gravity. Smaller planets usually have less gravity.
When the roar of the rocket stopped, we looked around. Everything had changed. The bus had turned into a spaceship. We were all dressed in spacesuits, and we were lighter than feathers. We floated above our seats.
I'm flying.
I'm flying higher than you are.
Look, it's a UFB,
A what?
an unidentified flying banana.
Why do people feel weightless in space? By Phil. A spaceship and the people in it both go into orbit around the nearest planet or sun. When this happens, the people are no longer pulled toward the floor of the ship, so they float around.
Far behind in the black sky, we saw the planet Earth getting smaller and smaller. We were traveling in space. We had become astronauts.
Look how small the Earth seems from here.
Class, notice Earth's blue oceans, white clouds, and brown land?
It's beautiful. I think I have to go to the bathroom.
The Frizz said our first stop would be the moon. We got off the bus and looked around. There was no air, no water, no sign of life. All we saw were dust and rock and lots of craters. Ms. Frizzle said the craters were formed billions of years ago when the moon was hit by meteorites. Meteorites are falling chunks of rock and metal.
We're so light on the moon.
That's because the moon has less gravity than the Earth.
Look how high we can jump. I was in a national jump rope contest. I won, of course.
Is there a national bragging contest?
It was fun on the moon. We wanted to play, but Ms. Frizzle said it was time to go, so we got back on the bus.
We'll start with the sun, the center of the solar system,
said the Frizz. And we blasted off. We zoomed towards the sun, the biggest, brightest, and hottest object in the solar system.
The sun is a star, by Carmen. Our sun is an average star, like the ones we see in the night sky.
How big is the sun? By Gregory. Our sun measures more than 1 million kilometers across. More than 1 million Earths could fit inside it.
How hot is the sun by Florey? At the center of the sun, the temperature is about 15 million degrees centigrade. The sun is so hot, it heats planets that are millions of kilometers away.
Jets of super hot gases shot out at us from the surface of the sun. Thank goodness Miss Frizzle didn't get too close.
You should never look directly at the sun, children. It can damage your eyes.
You should never drive a bus directly into the sun either.
My school is heated with solar energy. I have a sun deck. I have 10 pairs of sunglasses.
Give us a break, Janet.
Miss Frizzle steered around to the other side and pulled away.
We'll be seeing all the planets in order, class,
explained Frizzy.
Mercury is the first planet, the closest to the sun.
Mercury was a dead, sun-baked planet.
This planet is a lot like our moon. There is no water and hardly any air,
said the Frizz.
Notice the craters on its surface as we pass by.
The sun looks twice as big here as it does from Earth.
That's because Mercury is so close.
Too close. Let's go.
Before long, we felt ourselves being pulled in by the gravity of Venus, the second planet from the sun. Venus was completely covered by a thick layer of yellowish clouds.
Why are Venus's clouds yellow? By Tim. Earth's clouds are white because they are made of water vapor. Venus's clouds are made mostly of a deadly yellow poison called sulfuric acid.
We will now explore the surface of Venus,
said Miss Frizzle.
We're gaining weight, and we haven't even had lunch.
We will be heavier here than on the moon or Mercury because Venus has more gravity.
Below the clouds, Venus was as dry as a desert. The ground was covered with rocks, and it was hot. It was about 400 degrees centigrade. That's much hotter than an oven baking cookies.
Why is it so hot on Venus? By Ralph. Venus's atmosphere has a lot of carbon dioxide gas in it. Carbon dioxide acts like a blanket to hold heat in. When heat is trapped like this by a planet's atmosphere, it is called the greenhouse effect.
It Never Rains on Venus by Dorothy Ann. Venus's clouds never make rain because it is too hot for rain to form. Any liquid on Venus dries up instantly.
There's no life on Venus, class.
It's too hot.
It's too dry.
There's too much acid.
Let's leave.
The air was so heavy we could feel it pressing down on us. Miss Frizzle said there might be volcanoes around, too. We said,
Let's get out of here!
Our next stop is Mars, fourth planet from the sun,
announced the Frizz.
I've been to Mars lots of times.
Just ignore her.
On our way, we'll be passing through the orbit of Earth, the third planet.
The bus lifted off with a roar. As we came close to Mars, we passed its two moons, which are called Phobos and Deimos. Compared to our moon, they were tiny, and they weren't even round.
Why aren't Mars's moons round? By John. Large moons are round because of their gravity. Billions of years ago, when large moons formed, their gravity pulled in their material evenly and made them round. The moons of Mars are so small that they don't have enough gravity to be round.
Those are moons?
They look like potatoes with craters.
Looking down at Mars, we saw a huge canyon. Ms. Frizzle said it was as long as the United States. There was a volcano 3 times taller than the tallest volcano on Earth, and all around there were channels that looked like dried-up riverbeds.
Long ago, there may have been water in those channels.
Yes, but today all of Mars' water is frozen in polar ice caps.
Is there life on Mars? By Molly. No life has been found on Mars. Living things need water, and there is no liquid water on Mars. So space scientists think life probably cannot exist there.
Earth is the best planet for life. That's why I live there.
Janet likes to be the best.
We noticed.
Why is Mars red? By Arnold. Mars looks red because there is a lot of rusty iron in its soil. The sky looks pinkish because of red dust in the air.
We landed and started walking around.
Are there any aliens here?
I don't see any.
Don't be too sure.
Suddenly, a huge dust storm blew up. Miss Frizzle said dust storms on Mars can last for months. They may cover the whole planet. We scrambled back on the bus and headed out.
of what we call the inner planets.
Miss Frizzle shouted over the roar of the rockets.
What are the inner planets? By Alex. The inner planets are the 4 planets closest to the Sun: Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. The 4 inner planets are all hard and rocky.
We will now be going through the asteroid belt to the outer planets. Isn't space travel exciting, Arnold?
I really prefer film strips.
The Asteroid Belt by Shirley. The area between the inner and the outer planets is called the asteroid belt. It is filled with thousands and thousands of asteroids.
What are asteroids? By Flory. Asteroids are chunks of rock and metal in orbit around the sun. Scientists think they are the building blocks of a planet that never formed.
Thousands of asteroids were spinning all around us. All at once we heard the tinkling of broken glass. One of our taillights had been hit by an asteroid. Miss Frizzle put the bus on autopilot and went out to take a look. She kept on talking about asteroids over the bus radio.
I wish she'd come inside.
The largest asteroid is only 1/3 the size of our moon. Most asteroids are the size of houses or smaller.
Suddenly, there was a snap. Miss Frizzle's tether line had broken. Without warning, the rockets fired up and the bus zoomed away. The autopilot was malfunctioning.
Kids, I'll meet you later.
On the radio, Miss Frizzle's voice grew fainter and fainter.
Come in, Miss Frizzle. Do you read me?
Then she was gone. We were on our own. We were lost in the solar system. Most of us were too scared to move, but Janet started searching the bus.
She shouldn't touch Miss Frizzle's things.
But this is an emergency.
In the glove compartment, she found Miss Frizzle's lesson book. As she began reading from it, a huge planet came into view.
Class, this is Jupiter.
Janet read.
It's the first of the outer planets and the largest planet in the solar system. As we approach Jupiter, we can see some of its 16 moons. Arnold, are you listening? Boy, Miss Frizzle plans everything. Jupiter is so big that more than 1,000 Earths could fit inside it.
We thought the school bus was going to land, but there was no solid ground to land on. Jupiter is a gas giant, a planet made almost entirely of gas. Then we saw a huge red spot.
Miss Frizzle, where are you?
What is Jupiter's Great Red Spot? By Gregory. The red spot is probably a huge storm of swirling gas that's lasted for hundreds and hundreds of years.
As we left Jupiter, we wondered and worried, would we ever get home? The next sight made us forget our troubles. It was Saturn, a gas planet like Jupiter. It had swirling clouds and lots of moons, but the most incredible thing about Saturn was its rings. It was the most beautiful planet in the solar system.
What are Saturn's rings? By Rachel. Saturn's rings are made of ice, rock, and dust, all in orbit around the planet.
There are thousands of rings around Saturn, class.
They look like the grooves on a phonograph record.
Saturn is the grooviest planet, man.
The Floating Planet by Phoebe. Saturn is made of materials that are lighter than water. If there were a bathtub big enough, Saturn could float in it.
Could Saturn take a bath?
Yes, but it might leave a ring.
Next was Uranus, a blue-green gas planet with faint gray rings and moons. Some scientists think they might be made of chunks of graphite, the material used in pencils on Earth.
The Tipped-Over Planet by Ralph. Uranus spins differently from other planets. It seems to be lying on its side compared to most other planets in the solar system.
Methane gas in its atmosphere makes Uranus look blue.
You look kind of blue yourself.
I'm freezing.
That's because we're so far away from the sun.
How long is a year? By Tim. A year is the time it takes for a planet to go all around the sun. Neptune and Uranus are so far away from the sun that they have very long years. 1 year on Uranus is 84 Earth years. Neptune's year is 165 Earth years.
The bus was going faster and faster, and we couldn't control the autopilot. We swept past stormy Neptune, another blue-green planet 8th from the sun. All we could think about was finding Ms. Frizzle.
Neptune is the last of the giant gas planets.
We're almost out of gas ourselves.
And the nearest service station is 4,000 million kilometers away.
We were going so fast, we almost missed seeing the 9th planet, tiny Pluto, and its moon Charon.
Is Pluto a real planet? By Wanda. Some scientists think Pluto was once a moon of Neptune. It may have escaped from the orbit around Neptune. Then it became a real planet in orbit around the sun. Pluto was the last planet discovered in the known solar system.
Beyond Pluto, Stars and More Stars by Alex. Beyond our solar system are billions and billions of stars. There are so many stars, and they are so far away that our minds cannot even imagine it. Some of those stars may have planets, and some of those planets could have life on them, just like our Earth.
There's nothing out there but stars.
Maybe there's a 10th planet to be discovered.
It'll have to wait.
I hope Miss Frizzle is waiting too.
Janet flipped rapidly through Miss Frizzle's book. Suddenly, she found something new. The instructions for the autopilot. We punched in asteroid belt on the control panel. Slowly, the bus turned around. It was working. We were going back.
Janet really saved the day.
I told you she's a good kid. Hey, that asteroid's just funny.
That's not an asteroid. It's Miss Frizzle.
When we reached the asteroid belt, there was Miss Frizzle.
Boy, am I glad to see her. Me too.
With Miss Frizzle back at the wheel, the bus headed straight for Earth.
Boys and girls, we are arriving on Earth, the 3rd planet from the sun.
We re-entered the atmosphere, landed with a thump, and looked around. We were in the school parking lot again. The rockets were gone, the spacesuits were gone, the bus was a wreck. Everything was back to normal.
Thank goodness.
Hello again, old friend.
In the classroom, we made a terrific chart of the planets and a mobile of the solar system. At last it was time to go home. It had been a typical day in Miss Frizzle's class. Now we had only one problem. Would anyone ever believe us when we told about our trip?
We went to outer space today.
Of course you did, dear.
My favorite planet was Jupiter. No, maybe Mars. Of course, Saturn was gorgeous too.
Mom, make him stop.
And there was Miss Frizzle, floating among the asteroids.
What an imagination.
We could have been lost in space forever.
Eat your salad, honey.
More rain tomorrow.